Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 302 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by the main man himself, Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing, man?
I'm good, my man. How you feeling?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. That is the truth. Getting down to it, though, we're going to dive straight into the review part of the show. We're going to start here at the Dynamo Volleyball Arena in Moscow, Russia. This one took place last Thursday. Murat Gassiev with his return to the ring. A win for him in the fourth round. A TKO against Michael Wallisch, who's now 22-5. I think Wallisch usually gets banged out in about 5 rounds, so he did it in 4 there. Gassiev now 28-1. To be honest with you, he didn't blow me away, and, you know, it just was what it was. Quite a basic performance, really, from him. Moving out now to Germany. This one took place on Saturday at the Firat Arslan Sports Center in Germany. Firat Arslan topped the bill at cruiserweight. The 50-year-old man moved to 49 professional wins. He's got 9 losses and 3 draws. A KO in 4 rounds against Ruben Acosta, who celebrated his birthday on fight week at 43 years of age. Both men together, they're 93. He's now 38-18 with 5 draws, Ruben Acosta. Moving out now to the Wembley Arena. This one was the final card to mention of last week's action. I'm going to start with the undercard. Quite a few fights to go through. George Fox, the son of Don Charles, now 4-0. A points win for him over 4 against Reece Barlow, the debutant. Elsewhere on the card, return to the ring for Charles Frankham, now 3-0. A points win for him over 4 against Dean Jones, who's now 1-28. Elsewhere on the card, Sam Noakes with another knockout win for him, 7-0 with 7 KOs. A retirement win after Naeem Ali, the opponent, who's now 2-71 with a draw. Doesn't get stopped too much, but he retired on his store after 2. Sam Noakes wants to get to 10-0 with 10 KOs, he said. He's done 7 of those 10 wins so far, all knockouts. Elsewhere on the card, David Adelaide now 7-0, a TKO in round 4 against Mladen Manev, who's now 3-10. He was down twice prior to the stoppage. Chris Bulk now 10-0, a unanimous decision wide in the end for him against James Beach Jr., who's now 12-2. It was for the WBC International Super Bantamweight title. Chris Bulk looks like quite a good prospect. I think he could potentially go far in the sport. Another man that I think can go far in the sport as well, Hamza Shiraz, now 13-0. I expected a knockout, and he got it in round 5 against Ezekiel Guria, who's now 15-2. Guria down twice prior to the stoppage. It was for the WBO European Super Welterweight title. Hamza Shiraz, they're talking about matching him quite hard in his next fight, perhaps against the winner of Troy Williamson and the guy he's fighting whose name has evaded me for a second. Chris Jenkins against Echo Esserman, bit of a strange one. I felt that Jenkins was probably in the driver's seat at the point of the stoppage. An 8th round TKO for Echo Esserman, who's still undefeated, 15-0. Turns out Jenkins had a broken rib from the 2nd round onwards. It was for the Commonwealth and British welterweight titles. Echo Esserman, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch there, to be honest with you. It was a good fight. Chris Jenkins, you know, it's just more bad luck for him, really, because he gets cut pretty much every single fight. And if he's not getting cut, here he's having his ribs broken. So more bad luck for him. He's 22-4 with 3 draws. It's a tough position he's in now. Joe Joyce now 13-0, a TKO in round 6 against Carlos Takam. He'd never been stopped in the first half of a fight. He almost made it to the second half, but he couldn't get out of that 6th round. Referee Steve Gray with a stoppage. It was for the WBC Silver, Commonwealth, and WBO International heavyweight titles. Interesting start to the fight, really, from Takam. I didn't expect him to really get a foothold, and he did. He certainly did more than that. The fact both fighters seemed to want to take one, to land one, and the fact that Takam had the superior hand speed seemed to work in his favour early on. Joe seemed a bit surprised, and he was struggling really to find a rhythm early on. But yeah, it was how I thought it would go, though. He did end up wearing Takam down slowly, Big Joe Joyce, and Takam's gas tank's always been a bit of a downfall for him. It was the start of that 6th round where Joe Joyce landed a long left hook, and straight away he was in trouble, and Joe swarmed him, and he took so many shots, Carlos Takam, nothing was coming back. He complained about the stoppage, but honestly, his brain was inside his skull, being knocked left, right, up and down, diagonally, and I think he was going to get brutally knocked out in just a few seconds' time. So I was happy with that stoppage there. Takam, we know what it is. We know who he is. Same as ever, very tough, very game, always comes to fight, and will give a lot of fighters a hard night's work. A tough night's work. And Joe Joyce, I think, kind of struggled with Takam being as small as what he was, and like I say, that hand speed as well. I think Joe Joyce would struggle with someone like perhaps a Michael Hunter that we'll be speaking to in a few moments. Eddie, did you happen to see any of that or not? I'm guessing you probably didn't.
No, I didn't even see it, but I heard about it. We were talking about that last week, obviously, on the preview. And I was interested in seeing it, but I didn't get a chance. I want to take a look at it, though, and see exactly how the early part of the fight went to really give my grade for Joe Joyce, because, I've always been kind of, somewhat critical of him because of, he's not aesthetically pleasing, but he wins. So as critical as you can be as critical as you want. And as long as the guy keeps winning, especially by knockout, you got to give him some kind of credit. So, but I do need to see it. I do want to kind of see what happened early on to really make my decision based on, as far as what Joe Joyce gets as far as a grade and all.
Okay, well, there you go. That brings the review part of the show to an end. The final thing for me to do is to welcome our sole guest on this week's podcast, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the best heavyweight contenders in the world. It is, of course, Mr. Michael Hunter. Mike, welcome back on the show.
I'm good. What's going on, man? I'm glad to be back on this joint, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Always good when speaking with you, Mike. So we last spoke on the podcast back in October of 2020. Since then, you have boxed once. You boxed in December on a Zurdo Promotions card. Just briefly tell me how that came around, because that was kind of random as well.
Yeah, me being that free agent, you gotta kind of look for fights and kind of catch your own dinner, and so that's what we were doing. We ended up finding Zurdo was throwing his own show, and obviously they thought that I would be a good addition to join it, which it was a good show. I was just kind of coming back. The whole COVID thing was happening. I hadn't fought in quite some time, so that was just to get back on my feet and see how I was, and I did okay with it and continued to train, and now I'm looking for that number one spot.
There we go. Yeah, you were coming off a year out the ring. Your next fight takes place this coming Tuesday live on Triller against Mike Wilson. Tell me what you know about this guy, Mike. I know you've been on the same undercard as him before in Monaco.
Yeah, I was on the undercard with him. I fought him as an amateur. He was one of the best amateurs when I was growing up. Coming up, he was, not one of, he was the best at the time. And, we had a little battle in the amateurs, but, this has been quite some time. We've both aged well and have a lot more experience, a lot more class. And, I think there's going to be a great showdown, but I think this is a great opportunity for me to show the difference between me being a world-class fighter and any other fighter.
And tell me about that amateur fight, Mike. Who won?
Oh man, I beat him on points. I really it was a very close fight. I actually thought it wasn't that close, but on points it was a lot closer. But I was overthrowing the previous champ. You know, he had been basically the reigning USA national champion, and this was for the Olympic trials for me to even get into the Olympics. So he was like the number one guy going into the Olympics, and I just I kind of outbeat everybody at that time.
And obviously he's 21-1 as a pro. The one loss came to Denis Lebedev, a world-class fighter in his own right. Obviously this fight's a heavyweight. You're both kind of, I guess, small guys for heavyweight, really. He's never been stopped, Mike. Will that change come Tuesday?
I think we're going to definitely push for it. We want to definitely get the stoppage. It's always a good accolade to do something that hasn't been done, and he hasn't been stopped. He's well-rounded. He knows how to defend himself, and that's the first part about boxing. And I know it's not going to be an easy task, but I think I'll get the job done. I feel good about the fight. I feel good about my preparation, even though they kind of pushed me back. But I feel ready. I think I will get the stoppage.
And obviously you've signed, is it a 3 or 4 fight deal with Triller, Mike? 3 or 4?
I recently just signed a 4-fight deal with Triller.
Okay. Let me just, I'll finish that question. So a 4-fight deal, it seems like most fighters right now aren't signing long-term deals with Triller. I know people like Regis Prograis, I think, just had one, and a few other guys have just had one. Triller at this moment still, I guess, are kind of carrying that reputation of promoting Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, the likes of Jake Paul. Some people not sure if they're serious about boxing, but this deal shows to me that they are taking boxing quite seriously for signing you. They're not really throwing contracts at fighters with bigger profiles than yourself. I mean that respectfully. Does this kind of exercise the point that they are serious about getting in this boxing business?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at some of their moves, they just bought Fight TV, which has been doing their due diligence of making their self known, and they were doing pretty good by themselves, and Triller, purchased that, and they purchased. They also doing a deal with Madison Square, so they're going to be having shows very consistently in Madison Square, and so you can tell that they're moving a lot of pieces around, and they're building their stable up and making it stability. Putting the groundwork on. So I think that, that's definitely a sign that they're going to definitely be in boxing. And I wanted to be one of the first people to ride that wave. As we know from the Eddie Hearn, and when companies first come out, you have to pay to play. So I think that's what they're doing right now. They did the whole Teofimo thing. They're putting their name out there, and I think it's a good platform for me as well, because I get new eyes, and I'm going to be very consistent, which has been a battle for me in my career since I started. So for me to have some consistency and be ranked already and show my face, it just screams title contention. So.
And talking of the title contention, talking of the consistency, we have to go into it. You were about to fight a final eliminator against Filip Hrgovic. Most people thought you could beat this guy. You chose not to take the fight in order to sign with Triller. By doing this, you're now fighting, obviously, Mike Wilson. And, of course, it's not a final eliminator. Please explain to the fans the logic behind that unexpected decision.
Well, it was very easy. The bag was bigger, it was a very easy call. We don't really know what's going to happen with these heavyweight things, with Eddie Hearn. He doesn't play the nicest. So, and this is a boxing business, so, usually I'm the guy that, fights, whoever I need to at that time. But for the first time, I was able to have some options and have some, some opportunity to, pick and choose. And it was very easy when Triller gave me the deal that I couldn't refuse. So it was very easy for me to do such a thing. I know I could see Hrgovic, as you could tell, nobody wants to fight Hrgovic. Nobody wants to be, nobody knows what's going on with the belt and all that. So I just think that it's a really a business thing with Anthony and Tyson and Deontay Wilder, everybody being put up on hold, and, things are changing so drastically at that weight class. So, it was easy. It was an easy pick, and I can't wait to get my name out there and fight on Triller, and show the world that it ain't got nothing to do with running. It's all business.
And what I think was interesting is the timeline of how everything happened, because when you decided to not take the Hrgovic fight, I think a lot of people were like, oh man, like what is going on? Then you signed to fight Mike Wilson. People are like, damn. Then the AJ Fury fight falls through, and we're like, oh, okay, maybe it was the right thing to do because you're not going to get a shot there for a while. Then your fight fell through and obviously got postponed for a while, and it's just been madness after madness. Now, obviously, Joshua's fighting Usyk and Fury's fighting Wilder for the third time. It seems like no one's going to get a shot. There's going to be rematch clauses thrown around. If one of them loses, it's going to delay it by another 6 months. It could be 2 years. And I think by that point, your 4-fight deal will have ended. So it'll be interesting to see where you end up after that. No one knows.
Exactly. Yeah.
No one knows.
I totally agree, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there any opponents' names, Mike, that's been thrown around? Because obviously you've committed on a 4-fight deal. Will they all be Mike Wilson type fighters, or is there any names you can tell us?
Actually, I'm not sure just quite yet. I really tend to don't look past my next fight. So I just wanted to get this Mike Wilson fight out the way, and go from there. I'm not sure. Triller has a lot of different things that they're doing as far as entertainment and stuff like that, and when and where they're going to throw the shows, and they're fairly new company that's still getting their feet on the ground. So it's very hard to say, but I know I'm going to be on some exciting shows and exciting cards. Hopefully, Madison Square will be one of the home arenas, so that would be nice. Exactly, we're not really sure yet, but I'm going to continue to showcase my skills and shine.
September 25th, Mike, Anthony Joshua versus Oleksandr Usyk. 2 questions in one. How does the fight go, and will you be there?
Where is it at? Where's the fight at?
It's in London.
Yeah, I figured. I don't know. Maybe. I like it. I should. Maybe I will go over there. When's the date?
September 25th.
Oh yeah. That's like I think I will show up there. I think that the fight. I mean, if the fight happens, I still think that there's been a lot of things going on around here, so we're not exactly sure if the fight is going to happen. I mean, that's just my opinion. But I think that if the fight does happen, I see Usyk winning by decision. Just edging it out. With his defensive, his defense and his mobility, I don't see him really getting, pummeled on or, hit with any tricky shots. We know that Anthony Joshua has a tricky uppercut, but I think that's really not the best punch to hit Usyk with, being, the size and stuff. So I kind of think I could see Usyk winning by a poor decision, unless, Anthony Joshua hits him with a good shot. Anthony's a big guy and he has the power to knock out, anybody. So that's always a factor there. That's why heavyweight boxing is where they're at, because one punch can change the fight. So You know, I'm not exactly sure, but I feel like Usyk is going to win by decision.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning that way as well, Mike. We seem to agree on a lot of these predictions. Yeah, you've got me into analyzing mode now. I'm just thinking when you talk about Joshua's uppercut, I don't think Usyk's gonna stand in front of him and get that close. I think he's gonna try and box on the outside and have Joshua following him. You know?
Yes, I think that Usyk. I mean, he has to be. I think Anthony Joshua has to be very tricky in this fight, and I think one of his only trick shots is the great uppercut. I think that Usyk being very defensive minded and not so offensive minded doesn't leave too many holes for Anthony. Anthony kind of needs a guy to engage in him with him. You know, he's a lion. He likes to fight. You know what I'm saying? So I think that and that's where he finds his opportunities at, with people who throw punches. So I think that Usyk being so defensive minded is going to be I can see it being a very boring fight as well. Like we're all kind of waiting for something to happen, and then the fight ends.
Okay, we shall see. We shall see. September 25th in London. Just before we wrap it up, Mike, any closing words to the listeners? You've been on this show, I don't know, loads of times over the years now. The listeners know you very well. They like you a lot. What's your message to those guys?
Man, keep following me. Tune in August 3rd, Madison Square Garden on Triller.
There we go, short and sweet. Listen, Mike, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Best of luck for Tuesday, and we shall speak again sometime after the fight.
Oh yeah, and announce that Triller fight is free to watch. So, you know, all eyes on me, baby.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. Just one piece of news to bring you. If anything else unfolds from now to the end of the show, I'll speak about it on the outro. A fight night has been announced for Saturday, September 11th. We're going to see Sonny Edwards defending his world title, his IBF flyweight world title for the first time. It's his first defense against, I believe it's his mandatory, Jason Mama, who is from the Philippines. The 24-year-old boasts a record of 16-0. So that one there will be, like I say, Sonny Edwards' first defense. No undercard just yet. That'll be interesting. It's going to be at the Copper Box Arena, September 11th. I might even try to get over there for that one if I can. That's it, though, for the news. Moving on to the preview part of the show. We're going to start here with this card that, like I say, takes place on Friday. So tomorrow, July 30th, the son of the legend, Evander Holyfield's son, Evan Holyfield. I think he's one of Holyfield's 12 children. He's 6-0. He's in a 6-rounder against Agustin Cicero, who's 16-18 with 3 draws. Nothing else on the undercard. Moving out now to Ukraine, a fighter that I still think, really and truly, could be involved in a couple of fights. I wouldn't mind seeing him in with prospects like a Daniel Dubois or something like that, or maybe like I don't know, like a Tony Yoka, or maybe even a Joe Joyce, even though it might be a bit of a step back. Like, this guy is pretty decent. He's up there in age, but he's still never been stopped. And that guy is, I know no one's probably even agreeing with this, but Andrei Rudenko, 33-5. He's headlining this card out here in the Ukraine, over 8 rounds against Andrea Pes, who is 7-12 with 3 draws. He's going to get a nice easy win there, Rudenko, but he's never been stopped in his losses. I wouldn't mind seeing him in with Dubois, who I think would just bang him out quite quick, and it would be a big statement, you know. So I want to see him in with someone like that, but I'm not sure what they're doing with him or what he's doing with himself. I think he's about 37 now. Maybe he's got 1 foot out the door. Moving out now to the Matchroom Fight Camp. It's week 1 of the 2021 edition of Fight Camp in Eddie Hearn's back garden. On the undercard, it was supposed to be Sandy Ryan making her debut, but that has fallen through, so she now won't be fighting, unfortunately. But elsewhere on the card, we have Campbell Hatton, the son of Ricky. He's 3-0, or he's going to be 3-0. He's currently 2-0. He's taken on a guy called... Actually, I think there's there's an opponent change on that one, because what it says in front of me here is Jacob Laskowski, who is 4-4 with a draw, but I think that he has had an opponent change actually, and I think it's a last minute one, so let me just quickly check. Yeah, he is fighting Jacob Laskowski, yeah. 4-4 with a draw. He's coming off 4 losses in a row. He was at one point 4-0 with a draw, but he's coming off those 4 losses. He's been stopped in 2 of them, and they were his last 2. However, Campbell Hatton's still yet to get a knockout or even a knockdown, I believe, in his career. I'm not sure, the guys that he's lost to, by the way, are not that bad, this Laskowski guy. So I think that he's going to come to give it a right go. I think that's not a whitewash, I don't think. I don't think that's a whitewash. We shall see. I've been wrong many times. Anthony Fowler, 14-1 on the undercard, fighting here, defending his WBA International Super Welterweight title. It was supposed to be against a very tough Mexican Roberto Garcia. That one, I think, would have probably gone the distance. However, he's now fighting late replacement Rico Muller, who is 28-3 with a draw. This works in Anthony Fowler's favour massively. I mean, Muller, in his 3 losses, he lost most recently in September 2019 to Jeremiah Ponce. That's the guy that just come over and beat Lewis Ritson by knockout. But other than that, he got stopped in 9 by Jeff Horn. That was down at 147. His most recent kind of, decent level fight was at 140 against Ponce, and he lost, by the way, a majority decision after 12 rounds. That tells me that he must not be too bad. But really and truly, this guy's a 140 fighter, maybe a 147. He's not really a super welterweight by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I expect Anthony Fowler to probably get his man out there, to be honest with you. I think it's a much, much easier matchup, and the fact that he hasn't had much notice, I think Fowler gets him out early. But listen, maybe Fowler deserves that, because Fowler's girlfriend just gave birth this week and he's still fighting. So credit to him, he deserves it. He's going to be probably going into this fight with not much sleep. But then again, he's probably in the bubble already, getting his long sleep, and he's probably left the missus at home. So fair play to Anthony Fowler, a guy that I have a lot of time for, friend of the show. A brilliant fight on the undercard as well. Tommy McCarthy, 18-2, in there against Chris Billum-Smith, 12-1. For me, it's a genuine 50-50 fight. It's over 12 rounds. That could be interesting. It's for the EBU Cruiserweight title, the Commonwealth Cruiserweight title, and the vacant British Cruiserweight title. Winner takes all. Chris Billum-Smith, quite a heavy favourite with the bookies, which I'm really surprised about. I think that Tommy McCarthy, in recent performances, has really matured. I mean, both guys share a loss to the same man in Richard Riakporhe. Riakporhe got McCarthy out of there in 4 rounds, and Riakporhe very narrowly beat Chris Billum-Smith on a split decision over 10. So both guys have lost to that guy there, but this is really potentially fight of the night, I think. Chris Billum-Smith, I don't know. They think it's gonna be Chris Billum-Smith by knockout by the looks of the numbers. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it goes a distance, and I wouldn't be surprised if McCarthy did enough. I think I'm slightly edging Billum-Smith maybe, but it's a great fight, man. It really is. Elsewhere on the card, Can Xu defends his WBA World Featherweight title. He's 18-2. He gets in against our very own Lee Wood, 24-2. There shouldn't be a man in the UK that wants Lee Wood to lose this fight. Everyone should be behind him. He's coming off that one win last time out against Reese Mould, which was back in February. And was that in... I'm sure that was in the Garden. I'm sure that was in Eddie Hearn's... No, it wasn't in Eddie Hearn's Garden, that one. Of course it wasn't. It was Wembley Arena. So he's coming off that win. The fight before that, of course, he lost to Jazza Dickens. It was close, but he did lose. But Can Xu, I mean, a heavy favourite for good reason. He's looked pretty good since becoming world champion. We were supposed to get him over here boxing Josh Warrington. That one never happened. Warrington lost the title. He's having a rematch. Can Xu, I guess is coming over here, trying to show his face to to the UK fight fans, and hopefully Warrington wins the rematch against that crazy Mexican banger, and he comes back, and then they can build that fight, or the fight would already be built by then as a big unification. So we shall see. But Can Xu, for me, gets the job done over Lee Wood. I'm not sure he stops him, but I think it goes late. I think probably points for Can Xu, but he could get him out of there late as well. But I think Can Xu's got that one. But let's all get behind Lee Wood. He certainly has the tools to do it. Lee Wood at times has looked unbelievable. It brings me back to like the Ryan Doyle fight. Oh my gosh. And also David Oliver Joyce. He has been tremendous in both of those. And not the final one, but we're going to move out to America now. This one's going to be on Fox. It's happening at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, this one, Eddie. Let's talk about the undercard. We've got a prospect I'm quite high on that I don't really see enough on TV. Joey Spencer, 12-0 in an 8-rounder against Dan Carpensi, 9-3 with a draw. We've got Andre Durrell returning to the ring. I think he's been out of it for a long time. 27-3 against Christopher Brooker, who's 16-7. We've got Michael Polite Coffey coming off that win against Damani Rock. He gets in with Jonathan Rice, who's 13-6 with a draw. And this guy here, Eddie, that I don't know too well, but I want to say that I think you know the guy. Returned to the ring for Carl Dargan.
Oh, wow.
19-1 in an 8-rounder against Ivan Delgado, who's 13-3 with 2 draws. It's, like I say, over 8 rounds. I don't know Carl Dargan, Eddie, but tell me his backstory real briefly.
Well, great amateur. Big-time amateur. One of the more talented dudes in Philly at one point. You know what I mean? It was so high on him, man. He was having rough battles with Terrence Crawford and dudes at that time. What's his name? God damn, I can't even get his name in my head right now. But he was one of the guys. It's just, things happen, man. It's, I don't even want to say the streets for him. I just think that he kind of got out of it. Wasn't really focused, and all of a sudden now, and this is years later. Like, it's a kind of a shock. How old is he now? I can't really remember. I think he's Steve's age. He might be 36 right now.
I'll have to check it. He is 36. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's like I'm surprised to hear it. I mean, I'm happy to hear it because he's a talented dude. He's really talented. He really is. He's one of those guys. He has special talent. But they call him Dynamite up here too. Like we barely even talk about. Actually, we don't even call him by his actual name, but we call him Dynamite. But yeah, he's extremely talented, fast, great boxing IQ. He was one of the descendants of Concrete Jungle, which is Nazem Richardson's crew. You know what I mean? And where Tiger and Rock Allen and Bear Richardson, a lot of the youngsters, even Steve Cunningham was training with him for a while. Even Shane Mosley at one point started working with and of course Bernard Hopkins. So there's a great lineage there. Like I said, he's extremely talented, extremely good fighter. But has the time passed him? He's only 36 and he hasn't really been in there in a while, so he's kind of preserved. It should be preserved, but it's a good thing. I'm seeing him out there. Hopefully he wins. Well, I figure I'm pretty sure he's going to win this fight. I mean, obviously there's something they've seen, and he's got to be feeling good to be back into it like that. So I'm expecting him to win this one, but we'll see how far he wants to go with it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just, just want to have another fight, have another go just to feel how see how you feel, and that's it. But I think, he's already, the future is now for him. He's going to have to take advantage of what he has, and if he has much, and go at it right now.
We shall see. I mean, he's still 19-1 as a pro. His one loss came 6.5 years ago on points to Tony Lewis. Since then, he's only had 2 fights. So, like I say, 2 fights in 6.5 years. He returns on Saturday night in New Jersey. And the final card to preview takes place next Tuesday, August the 3rd. By the time next week's show is out, the fight would have already took place, so we'll be reviewing it next week, but here we are previewing it. We spoke to the main man himself, the sole guest, Michael Hunter, 19-1 with a draw. It's for the vacant WBA Continental America's heavyweight title against Mike Wilson, 21-1. His one loss came to Denis Lebedev. Mike Wilson as well, a good amateur and a man that has been in with Michael Hunter in the amateurs. So, a little bit of history there. Not the fight that everyone wanted to see Mike. There's two Mikes we're talking about here, Mike Wilson and Mike Hunter, but not the fight that I think most people wanted Michael Hunter to have. I think he knows that himself, but he explained himself in that interview. So all the best to him. Still, a very good friend of mine. On the undercard as well, friend of the show, Chris Algieri, former world champion, 24-3. He gets in against Mikel Lespierre, who's 22-2 with a draw. That's over 10 rounds. I remember Lespierre from his fight with Maurice Hooker. It was one of the most boring fights I've ever seen in my entire life. So that's where I remember his name from. Hopefully it's not as boring as that one. Chris Algieri, all the best to him. Like I say, a nice guy. And remember, you can see that one on Triller. It's on Triller, and I believe you can watch it on Fight TV for free. That's what Michael said, for free. So I'm interested in that, and I will be watching that one. But anyway, that's it for the preview part of the show. That's it for the entire show. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 302 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive thank you to our sole guest on this week's podcast, one of the best heavyweights in the world, Mr. Michael Hunter. The biggest thanks, though, goes out to you, the listeners. The only piece of news to bring you is that Conor Benn has tested positive for COVID-19, so his fight scheduled for Saturday against Adrian Granados is now off, which means that Lee Wood vs. Kanzu will be the new headliner. They are looking to reschedule the Benn-Granados fight, so hopefully we see it postponed, but not for too long. Hopefully we do see a rescheduled date in the coming weeks. But that's about everything from myself. Remember to tell a friend about the podcast. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we shall see you all again next week.